You are Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And the season of our discontent continues. As a Miami football fan of any level, really, at this point, unless you're Teddy Bridgewater and the Miami Northwestern Bulls, football season's been a giant disappointment. What is up, Vince fans? Welcome to another episode of your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, and another brutal loss today for Miami. This time it was Tua. Couldn't stop throwing it to the other team. 20-12, the Texans beat the Dolphins. 3 interceptions and a fumble for Tua, a huge fake punt for Houston. The Dolphins got caught off guard. Mike McDaniel's burning timeouts in the second half, and Tua just could not stop throwing the ball to the Texans today, and it ends up being a 20-12 loss on the road against a team now in Houston that, look, they're 9-5. They're a pretty good team, right? But another game that Miami could have won, and again, it comes back to haunt them. Look, what's the one thing that Tua Tagovailoa can't do? He can't throw the deep ball. Still can't throw the deep ball. I mean, how many lollipops do we have to watch? It looks like a wobbly punt when he throws deep. It is what it is, you know? And he has anything 25 yards or fewer, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Anything 25 yards or deeper, he's bottom 5, maybe worse. He might be the worst in the league throwing the deep ball. And that's just something that, you know, they've been, defenses play back. They come and make the tackles. They make the Dolphins throw underneath, and that's a big part of it. But man, you know, this is just one of those games where they had opportunities, they had potential to win this game, and from the very beginning, they just didn't really seem like they wanted to, although the defense did play inspired at times. I saw some good things happening out there on that side of the ball, and all is not lost this year. And you look at it, and all right, maybe they get a better draft pick now, because this year has been a gigantic disappointment, not just for the Dolphins, for the Hurricanes, for any football fan in South Florida. It's just been a tough year. Look at FSU, UF. It's just been a brutal football season. And look at Tua's face there. He's a gamer. He's a great dude. And, I mean, he still hasn't learned to slide late in the game. He still tried to get a first down, run through 2 tacklers, and it ended up being a tough one. But, look, this is your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. They're not out of it yet, but the odds are long. The odds are very long right now. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And I want to thank you. We all want to thank you for making Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST your first listen today. Now for your second listen, go find new Locked On NFL, 2 shows every day. First, the madman Tyler Rowland kicks off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso, and then stop by the barbershop with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It is your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Boots on the ground. Dolphins had boots on the ground in Houston, and it just didn't work out for Miami today. And I don't know what Mike McDaniel was doing, the way he's burning timeouts out there. And, you know, Tua looked lost at times against this Houston defense. They're number 2 in the league in sacks and interceptions. And, you know, they got him a bunch of times today. The pressure was there. But Tua cannot throw the deep ball. The last one, they get the ball back. I mean, I have it written down here. I won't say what I wrote after the word Tua, but, I mean, he tries to go deep down the right side for Tyreek Hill. 1st and 10 on their own 23. They got 77 yards to go, just under 2 minutes left in the game. And, you know, you underthrow Tyreek Hill by a good 5 to 8 yards. The Texans don't even like to play with safety help. How many times do these corners jump routes? Stingley had 2 interceptions today. These corners are jumping routes all day long with no safety help. How about a double move and a pump fake, McDaniel? How about a double move and a pump fake? Would it kill you to do a double move with a pump fake? No, it wouldn't, right? But your quarterback can't throw the ball that far with any accuracy. And that last throw down the right sideline, Hill had Stingley beat. He has to come back for the football, and they say, oh, it's in Hill's hands, and he took it out. It got there simultaneously with the hands and the ball, right? I'm not Canadian. Simultaneously, the hands and the ball. They both got their hands on the ball at the same time. Tyreek had it. Stingley had a hand in there. And yeah, he pulled it away. But if that ball hadn't been underthrown by 5 yards, Tyreek Hill might still be running. Every single time Tua tries to throw the ball deep, I cringe. Do you not? I mean, it's in a dome. There's no bad weather. I mean, it's his limitation. It's who he is as a quarterback. He doesn't throw the deep ball well. He does not throw, I will say it again, he does not throw the deep ball well. So many things to talk about in this game. Look, the playoff hopes aren't gone, but now you need miracles, right? You had the Broncos and the Colts playing each other today. Maybe the Broncos could have helped you with a win there, and you get a win. And you know what I mean? Like, it's a shame. It's really a shame right now because the Miami Dolphins had such high hopes coming into the season. I was calling them a Super Bowl contender, Tua an MVP candidate. And by the way, thank you for being here, making us your first watch/listen of the day. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, engage with us in the chat. You know what I'm saying? We are your official Miami Dolphins post-game show on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make no mistake about it. Day in, day out, you can check out Locked On Dolphins podcast. But after the games, this is the only place to be. Right here, Locked On Dolphins postcast on Locked On Sports Miami, and wherever you get your podcasts. Again, no other post-game show on this network. Locked On Dolphins postcast, just like we do for the Heat, just like we do for the Marlins. You know what I'm saying? So it's the Canes, it's Locked On Dolphins postcast, the only place to be here on the Locked On Podcast Network for your Dolphins postgame. Now that I have that done, and you wouldn't want to go anywhere else or watch any other shows anyway after the game. It's what we do. It's the postcast. But just a tough one for Miami. They can't run the ball. We know that all year long. Achane has a ton of touchdowns. Mostert's been hurt all year. I told you that before the season. But they cannot throw the deep ball. They cannot run the football. All you can do is a short to intermediate passing game. The Texans are doing what most teams don't have the guts to do to Miami, which is not play over the top with safety help and jump the routes with corners all day long. It worked today. 3 picks and a fumble for Tua. Just a god-awful game. And look at that face. Terrible game by Tua today. Terrible. And he's still trying to run through 2 tacklers late in the game. And you wonder if he learns from the concussions and if he's still. So I don't want to make this about attacking Tua. I don't want to make this such a negative. Houston's great at pressuring the quarterback. They did it all day long again today. The Dolphins' offensive line's been banged up. You can only ask for so much with Waddle hurt. They cut OBJ. You know what I mean? So he gave him nothing. So you haven't been able to run the ball all year. You've had injuries on the offensive line. Your receivers have been banged up all year long. Tyreek's got the injury to the wrist. Waddle's out now, and who knows what happened there. But, you know, just very disappointing for the Dolphins today when you think about a very beatable Houston team. I mean, just extraordinarily beatable. I mean, this Houston team is one and done in the playoffs. You know, they're 9-5. They're going to win the division. They're one and done in the playoffs. They're one and done in the playoffs, this Houston Texans team. There's no way. I mean, they get great pressure on defense. I'll give them that. They really do. They get great pressure on defense. And on offense, and, you know, Mixon's been running the ball better. C.J. Stroud and you know, Stephon Diggs is out, and that's a big thing with them with the passing game. But, you know, Houston's not a very good team. The Jets are not a good team. The Dolphins needed overtime to beat them at home last week. They're not a good team. They are not a good team. And you know, maybe it was a little fool's gold that we thought, you know, coming into the season, and, you know, who even knows. But I will say this, when you're looking at, and I just opened, there we go. They had a fake punt in the third quarter that was huge, and the Dolphins weren't ready for it. Houston gets the win and the cover. They go under. And just a bad loss for Miami. I mean, Nico Collins with 2 touchdown catches when they don't even have a number 2 receiver. How does your number 1 get 2 TDs when you don't even have a number 2? You see what I'm saying? 4 turnovers by Tua. Not by Miami, by Tua. 2 fourth-quarter interceptions by Derek Stingley. You know what I mean? And it just is the second straight win for Houston. But, you know, you get 2 6-yard scoring passes. It's very hard to throw touchdowns in the red zone, and they had all day to throw all day, you know. And, I mean, look, Tua threw the 1 touchdown pass to Jonnu Smith today. They couldn't get the 2-point conversion. You know, I mean, it's 10 and a half minutes left in the game. You're driving. You're almost in the red zone, and you're trying to go for Tyreek Hill again. Another bad throw by Tua. Underthrown terribly to Stingley. Stingley got 2 gifts from Tua. Christmas next Wednesday. Tua gave him the biggest presents of his life and his career right there with those 2 picks, because those weren't NFL throws. They were badly underthrown, and they were way off the mark. At the time, all I'm saying is lollipops, man. You would have been better off throwing the ball full of helium at that point. I mean, blow up a balloon filled with helium and throw it down there, because that's what Tua was doing. And that's what you get when Tua's throwing deep balls. And it really is. I mean, C.J. Stroud, average pedestrian game manager, whatever you want to call it, 131 yards passing. Joe Mixon, who averages 88 yards a game, 100 yards the last 2 games, had 23 yards rushing today. But it was Tua. 3 interceptions, 3, and a fumble. And Armstead was out, Kendall Lamb's out, so you're playing without your 2 starting tackles. I don't want to make excuses for the guys. They're NFL players. If you're on an NFL team, putting on an NFL uniform, playing on an NFL field, there is no excuse for some of the things I've been seeing. Scary helmet-to-helmet hit on Grant DeBose. He's taken off on a stretcher. Jalen Waddle was hurt in this game, and the Texans kicked the 44-yard field goal on the opening drive. Sanders with a 55-yarder again from 50-plus. He nails one early in the second. But you know what? Tua gets hit on his blind side, a fumble. They get the ball on the Miami 28, scrambles away from pressure. Stroud finds Collins in the end zone. So they get the ball on the 28-yard line. They go 28 yards for the touchdown. And then later on, it was the fake punt that got them down into the red zone, and they scored off of that. So the fumble off of Tua, the fake punt in the red zone, that's how they get their 2 touchdowns. 14 points off turnovers right there, and that doesn't count, with the Rebels. So the Dolphins defense was big in this game. Zach Sealer with a huge sack late to even get him the ball back, to give him the opportunity to have that last drive. And just a shame that, the offense was so bad today. Tua was so bad today. And you can blame the tackles all you want. You can blame the offensive line all you want. He had time. And on that last throw to Tyreek Hill, it was 5 yards underthrown. They're not even bringing safety help over the top. If you throw a double move, an out and up or something, they know you can't throw it deep. When a team, let me tell you something, and I'm gonna go to break in a second. Let me tell you something about the NFL, okay? Speed kills. There's no way a team's ever gonna jump routes all day with their corners on receivers that run sub 4.5 if they think your quarterback even has half an arm to throw deep. I'm sorry to say it about Tua. I love the guy. Everyone loves him. He's a model citizen. You feel horrible for him with the concussions. Everybody's saying all the records he's breaking. They cannot run the ball, and they cannot throw deep. That's been killing him all year long. You're watching Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Plenty to get to in this show. What else happened in this game? I thought the defense played inspired football. You hold a playoff team with 9 wins to 12 points in toward the end of the game, or rather 20 points, but 12. You know what I mean? And you score 12. But my point is, you hold them to 20, and 14 of those points. I mean, one of them was when you gave them the ball on the 28. The other one's off a fake punt. You stopped them. The defense stopped them, held them to a field goal. You give up a fake punt. 13 yards on a fake punt. You hold them to a punt. You give up 13 yards on the first down on a fake punt, and then they score off of that. And then they score off the fumble, and then you have the 3 picks. So one of those picks is when they're knocking on the door of the red zone. So Miami could have won this game, probably should have won this game by a couple of touchdowns. They end up losing 20-12, probably over right now at this point. How bad has this football season been? We're going to have to get into this. I mean, the Hurricanes with the IDGAF Bowl. Who cares what bowl game they're even in? No one cares. Cam Ward finishes 4th in the Heisman Trophy. Dolphins probably going to miss the playoffs. What a terrible football season with such high expectations. And look behind me, Tua Tagovailoa with an awful game. His worst game of the season, 184 throws without an interception in a row. 3 of them today, including the last drive of the game when they have a shot. Another one as they're knocking on the door to score. Fumbles and gives Houston the ball on the 28-yard line. They give up a fake punt. They can't run the ball. They're not a very good team. And I'm starting to question everything from top to bottom with everything you had going into the season. What is Mike McDaniel doing burning all these timeouts? I don't know. You're watching Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. The only place for you to watch Miami Dolphins post-game coverage on the Locked On Podcast Network is right here with your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Right here on the other side, Houston 10 points off the Miami turnovers, and that really was a huge difference in the game, and it could have been more. But we will continue talking about that on the other side. Tua just can't throw the deep ball. What can Miami do to make the playoffs? The Niners have had a terrible year too. They have players quitting on them. What is going on with the NFL? All these teams we thought were going to be great, not so much. The parity is there, or is it? It's Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Moving on in just a second. Any day now. There it is. Okay, StreamYard, thank you so much. And I get a chance to tell you everything's running a little bit slow. Big shocker here, I know. Where are we at here? Come on. There it is. Hey, where are we at? All right, so there we go. Okay, everything's working all right here, and I get a chance to talk to you a little bit about what's going on this time of year. You know, it's time of year for love. It's a time of year for happiness. Time of year for joy. It's time of year for all of us, no matter who you are, what you do, what you believe in, and whatnot. We want to be happy. We want to be around family. We want to make sure we reflect and give everybody their flowers and that type of thing this time of year. By the way, this show episode is sponsored by BetterHelp, and I will tell you all about BetterHelp right now. And I will say this, right? Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/lockedon and get on your way to being your best self. And that's something that all of us need to do. Therapy's been a big part. Counseling's been a big part of my life. I'm in it right now. Regular counseling, couples counseling, parents counseling, you name it. Counseling has helped me immeasurably from the time I've been a child unpack my life, complicated as it is, and just get through it. You know, I love the holidays. I love being with my family. I always want to make sure everyone's okay. But a big part of that, being a man, being a head of the household, 3 kids, grandchild on the way, all sorts of stuff going on, right? Well, guess what? I have to be the head of the household. I have to be on my game. That's why I need counseling. I need therapy. I love to share my experiences. I'll sing it from the rooftops, the top of the penthouses all over Collins and Ocean Drive. And, you know, because I find comfort and I feel better when I share what's going on with my life with a licensed professional. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. Switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, because at the holidays, we all want to make sure we're okay so that we can be okay for everybody else and keep conducting and spreading the love. So just like me, I would urge you to find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And man, oh man, I am excited about BetterHelp. And I don't know what just happened here. I had 1,000 things open and everything got shut on me. Good Lord, where did it all go? Where did it all go? Okay, hold on a second here. Where does the pollen go? I don't even know. All right, that's interesting. Okay, so got things disappearing off the screen on me here, but we will obviously get through this as we always do right here on your Locked On Dolphins postcast. And I got another spot to do, and everything just disappeared off my screen as I'm doing it. So here we go, and we will pick it up for you right here. And I know what spot this is. It's the college football playoff. And maybe my screen and my computer are doing this to me on purpose because of the fact that, yeah, the Miami Hurricanes are not in the college football playoff, and Cam Ward finished 4th in the Heisman Trophy balloting. And yeah, that's just not good for any of us for any reason. And come on, Patio. Good Lord, something just load for me here. There we go. All right. Okay, come on. Come on. Sorry, guys. We're just bear with me here. We're pulling this thing up, and sometimes the software is having a little bit of an issue here. And here we go, NFL. All right, so obviously a tough loss for the Dolphins, 20-12, Tua with the 4 turnovers, and you're gonna have a tough time winning games with no running game and turnovers, and you still only lose by 8 points, which says a lot about the way your defense played today. All right, there we have it. It is time to tell you about the college football playoffs, which the Miami Hurricanes will not be in. Are you going to load? Anytime. There you go. Okay. Hey, we're in real time here. Let's pick it up. All right. It's that time of year. The college football playoff is back. And with a newly expanded 12-team format, the Miami Hurricanes still can't make it. But it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. That begins the coverage on December 21st, leading into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs, battling the second place team from the ACC, battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then Clemson, the ACC champions, looking to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Again, minus our Miami Hurricanes. You know how that goes, right? Just not a good ending to the season. And people go, oh, the Canes should have made it. No, they shouldn't have. They did not deserve to be in your college football playoff, just like the Dolphins aren't going to deserve to be in the NFL playoffs. I mean, the defense has been playing better and better. You know, Waddle hurt his knee today, didn't come back. They have San Francisco next week. What a disappointing year for the Niners, right? McCaffrey's been out most of the year. CMC living up to his rep of being injured. And you got Brock Purdy, glass slipper, not fitting so well this year. Deebo Samuel complaining. Injuries all over the defense. Been a rough year in San Francisco. All kinds of, opportunities squandered. And, how about the Texans not being able to score a touchdown after Bullock picks off Tua and runs it back 68 yards to the Miami 5-yard line, and they only get a field goal? This game could have been a lot worse. The Dolphin defense holding them there, doing great job, yeoman-like work. Let's not forget, one of Houston's touchdowns was scored after a fake punt, and that gave them the ball. And again, at the 6-yard, like a 6-yard touchdown pass, but it was the fake punt. So they stopped them there. The Dolphin defense really only gave up, and I know they gave up the touchdown after the fake punt, but they had to stop, right? And they gave up field goals at times when they could have given up touchdowns. I thought the defense played really well today. Got good pressure. Chop's been getting better and better. Zach Sealer's a stud. They let Wilkins go. You understand why, and more now, right? But just to come into this game with so much on the line, so many expectations, and so many incredible things that, you're like, man, how in the world does this happen? How in the world does our season go this way? And, Tua had the concussion and he missed all those games, but they should have won that Bills game on the road. They had the terrible defensive penalty and they gave up the long field goal. No reason at all to lose that game. The Cardinals game was an abomination. At home, you lose that one. Almost blew it against the Jets last week. So many games where they've been like right there. Even Green Bay, bad plays in the first half. So they've had their opportunities. They're just not a very well-coached team. They're just not a very good team, especially offensively. They're just not. Number one offense in the league. Where is it? I was calling Tua an MVP candidate and the Dolphins Super Bowl contenders before the season. Where's that offense? If you can't run the ball and you can't throw deep, those are two of the elements. I mean, the intermediate and short passing game is good. It's great. It's maybe the best in the league, but the Texans are a team. They get quick pressure on Tua. They're in his face right away, and they make the tackles. They're jumping routes with corners. They're jumping routes on Tyreek Hill with corners with no safety help because your quarterback can't throw deep, and they know it. They know that he'll just throw a lollipop helium balloon, and they'll be able to run under it like a punt anyway. So what's the difference? I'm sorry I'm being brutally honest. I'm not sorry, but you know what I mean? If you're sensitive, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Tua can't throw deep. You can't run the ball. You're getting pressure with 4 and you're stopping to run with 7 really. But you know what I mean? The linebacker, you're not even having to play. So you can jump the routes with the corners and you're not playing deep safety help. So your safeties can cheat up to play the run even more and cheat up to take away more of the short passing game. Jonnu Smith's been taken away a little bit for that reason. Safeties can cheat up and not play over the top. And the corners can still cheat and jump the routes on sub 4-5 receivers. What does that tell you? Process of elimination. Oh, the quarterback can't throw it deep, and they know it. You're watching Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease. 20-12. The Texans win. Miami falls. Man, I mean, look, you're 6-8. These bad losses have added up. And you've had no room for error, and you're just not good enough to overcome that. But I'm going to wrap it up on the other side. Talk about next week against San Francisco. What the Dolphins can do to improve and get better because, man, it's just been tough from the start of the season. How can they get better offensively? This was a disaster of a game. We'll talk to you about that on the other side. It's Locked On Dolphins podcast, or POSTCAST, excuse me, Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, and I get a chance to tell you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started today, and you will get going with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And FanDuel, of course, is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, wrapping it up on your Locked On Dolphins postcast. 20-12, they lose to the Texans, and we will take a look at some of the things that happened in this game today, but it really is a tale of turnover. So let's take a look at the box score really quickly. First things first, Grease, give you the individual stats. Tua, 29 of 40, 196, a touchdown, 3 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times, one of the worst games of the year for Tunga Vailoa. Achane, 12 carries, 41 yards. What else is new? 19 for 52 as a team. They cannot run the ball. They had both tackles out. It didn't matter if they both played. They can't run it anyway, and they can't throw deep anyway. Malik Washington is your leading receiver, 5 for 52. Jonnu Smith, 9 for 48, a touchdown. The last 4 weeks, he's been the best player on the team. Tyreek Hill, 2 for 36. Yeah, Jalen Waddle, none in this game. Achane and Mostert, Achane 7 for 35, Mostert 3 for 13. Dump-offs to the running backs, nothing down the field. Sound familiar? I mean, I'm being tough on him, but at what point should I not be? That was an abomination of an offensive game today. C.J. Stroud, 18 for 26, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. They sacked him 4 times. Very good defensive game for Miami. I want to get to their defensive stats in a minute. And Joe Mixon, 12 for 23 yards. Great job by the Dolphins against the run. Ogunbowale, a receiver, had 35 yards on 1 carry as their leading rusher. How about that? Receiving, Joe Mixon, 5 for 33 yards. Your leading receiver had 5 catches for 33 yards. Your quarterback went 18 for 26 for 131 yards. And you win the game. Why? Because the other team's quarterback gave you the game. Because the other team's quarterback threw 3 interceptions and fumbled. The fumble gave you the ball almost in the red zone, 28-yard line, score a touchdown there. 1 interception is returned to the 6-yard line, which ends up, or 5-yard line, which ends up being a field goal. And another one's late in the game when you have a chance to win 2 of them in the 4th quarter. 1 of them almost in the red zone when you're driving. See the commonalities here. So Houston did nothing on offense, and they still won the game. Stroud lost a fumble. Man, 2 of 3 picks in the fumble. You know, and then Miami on defense, Jordan Brooks had another big game. Anthony Walker Jr., another big game. Calais Campbell playing inspired. 2 sacks for Chop Robinson, his best game of the year. Anthony Walker and Zach Sealer with a sack apiece. The defense playing inspired football. But C.J. Stingley with 2, or Derek Stingley Jr., C.J. Stroud. Derek Stingley Jr. with 2 interceptions for Houston, and Bullock had 1 too, and then the fumble. And so that's really what happened in the game. Not much you're going to do to overcome that. It's the turnovers and the lack of a deep threat whatsoever. The fake punt was huge as well. But, you know, you look at the first downs, 18-12 for Miami. It just is the total the total plays. They had 12 more. Total yards, 224 to 181. Passing yards, 172 to 104. Rushing yards, 77 to 52 for Houston. That's really nothing. Penalties, 8 for Miami, 7 for Houston, only 6 yards of difference. Miami had the ball for 7 more minutes, but you ready? Turnovers. 4 for Miami, 1 for Houston. And there's your ball game. There is your ball game right there as we get ready to wrap it up here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We don't really have a star of the game. We don't really have a moment. I mean, the turning point was the fake punt, obviously, by Houston in this game. And it just is a shame for Miami to know that you had chance after chance after chance. And even after McDaniel burns another timeout, and they got lucky that Houston ran a play right before the 2-minute warning, and they were able to get the 2-minute warning when they did and still have 1:56 left. Otherwise, he would have screwed that up too. I mean, it just was not a good day for Miami. Play calling-wise, they couldn't go deep. They couldn't run the ball. Your hands are tied, right? Your hands are legit tied. I mean, I'm not saying that McDaniel has a ton of options to work with here. When you can't run the ball and your quarterback can't throw it deep, you know, what else are you supposed to do? There's not a whole lot that you're really going to even be able to do in those scenarios because of the fact that, you know, Houston is, I don't know, man. Houston's just killing you. You know, the moment was the fake punt. And it's just really tough, you know, to overcome these things week in and week out. And if you're looking for a star of the game for Miami, it's probably Jonnu Smith again or one of the defensive guys. I'm going to go Miami defense, I think. We'll hit that in a second, your star of the game. Although, I mean, there really was no star of the game other than, you know, the Houston defense. The Houston defense is good. I do not want to take anything away from the Houston defense. They're a very good defense, but Miami could have been a lot better in this game. There was so much more they could have done in this game offensively. I thought they could have been more creative with the play calling. I thought that Tua really did not throw the ball well today, and you're in a dome. And I really just don't understand how all this happens. I really do not understand how this happens. So for the Dolphins, obviously the star of the game for them is their defense. And I'm just trying to find a picture to illustrate that graphic for you. The Miami defense with a great job today. And Jonnu Smith with 9 for 48 and a touchdown. And then, of course, your turning point. It just was brutal. I mean, how many times can you – I don't know how else to say this. How many times can you just watch this team beat itself? That's what I really want to say is this team has beaten itself so many times this year. And game in and game out, the Bills game on the road, for example, another one of those games. And it just there's no way you could ever script it this way. It's maddening. It's confusing. It's frustrating. And it really is something that your Miami Dolphins have killed themselves with all season long. All season long. It's been brutal. And when you think about how they've lost these games, interceptions, fumbles, just maddening day in and day out, game in and game out, that you could continue to do this. And you know what I mean? It's not going to be, they're not going to be this bad next year. And I don't see how they could possibly ever be this bad. I'm going to have to make Jonnu the star of the game because there's nothing on the website that we use for the defense. And the turning point was, I mean, look, it's Tua's INTs. I mean, Tua turnovers. That's your turning point of the game. Tua many turnovers. How about that? I know that's not really funny, right? When you're trying to process this, and it really is tough to deal with game in and game out. And Tua turnovers, just not getting it done today. And he did not play like a big time quarterback in this game. He just did not. And it is what it is. He did not play like a big time quarterback. He has under 200 yards. Anytime they try to throw deep, he's getting picked off. You got the biggest weapon in the world in Tyreek Hill. He beats a corner deep. Maybe could have tied the game right there with a touchdown and a 2-pointer, but he underthrows it by 5 yards, man. Too much air underneath it. He did it earlier in the game. The interception, the second one, where Tyreek was coming across the middle of the field, right, just outside the Texans' 20-yard line. That was a really, really bad one. It was worse than the last one. And the last one was really bad. The last one was really bad, and this one was even worse. So thank you, by the way, for sticking around and being here as the audience continues to surge. Locked On Dolphins Postcast, we're free wherever you get your podcast, plus here on YouTube. Nathan says the NFL is fixed. It's fixed, bro. That all it is. They know who's going to win before they take the field. Why do you say that? I don't understand. Greedy with one hand, falling down, pulled it away from Tyreek. Tyreek was not 5 yards past. No, Richard, you're crazy. Richard Jackley, you think that was Tua's fault? Oh, no, I'm reading that wrong. You think that was Tyreek's fault? Sorry. You think that was Tyreek's fault? That was underthrown by 5 yards, bro. Tyreek had to come back, and it's in his hands, but then Stingley takes it away. If that ball's thrown 3 to 5 yards deeper, Tyreek runs under it in stride. I mean, come on. I mean, that's an easy one. That was a terrible throw by Tua. It's underthrown by 5 yards. You know what I mean? And I really think that Tyreek had him beat on that play, and that could have even been a touchdown for Miami. And so that definitely wasn't Tyreek's fault. Tua underthrew that one. He underthrew the one in the fourth quarter, the fumble, the one to Bullock. So yeah, it's definitely Tua's fault. All of them were Tua's fault. And their interceptions, he threw them. The ball left his hands, and he can't throw deep, and they can't run the ball. I mean, how many times can you see a team stop the run with just their front seven? They're bringing up the safeties all day. That, to me, is the biggest indication. Read the lines between the lines here, guys. The reason they can jump those routes with these corners, they love their defense, they love the pressure, and they should. Sacks, interceptions, they're great. But Tyreek Hill had a step. He underthrows him by 5 yards. And the one coming across the field earlier in the fourth quarter, the first one to Stingley, that was even worse, man. That was even worse. That was actually completely terrible. Completely terrible. It was a lollipop. He could easily run in front of Tyreek and pick that off. Both those throws were drastically underthrown by Tua Tagovailoa. And I just don't understand how you could watch that and think that it wasn't. because it was drastically underthrown and Tyreek had to come back for it. And then the announcers are saying, oh, he took it away from Tyreek. He only took it away from Tyreek because Tyreek had to run back so far to get it. And here comes StreamYard, of course, won't upload the graphics for the 90,000th time this year. Come on, StreamYard, let's go. Sorry, guys, they're just not uploading. I don't know what to tell you. This is maddening and confusing and infuriating, just like being a Dolphins fan and a Canes fan throughout the football season has been for you. And we'll try this one more time. Otherwise, we'll just forget it and get on out of here. It's just not meant to be. Just like the Dolphins going to the playoffs or winning this game today. Let's see. It might take. We're already running a little bit long here, but we'll throw that up for you. And bang, did we get it? Yes, we did. There's the final score graphic right there for you. 20-12, Houston beats Miami, and look at that. Collins with the 2 touchdowns. Collins Ave, baby. 2 touchdowns for him. And now it's going to take even more time to upload. Come on, StreamYard, let's go. Come on. So we got a couple more graphics to upload for you before we can get out of here. And you know what? It just does not want to cooperate today for whatever reason, just like the Dolphins offense. So they can't run the ball. They can't throw deep. The defense is finally coming along. They can't block anybody. The tackles are both hurt. Now Waddle's hurt with a knee injury. You got San Fran coming up next week with Purdy and Kittle and Debo and all those guys coming in. Their defense been decimated by injuries. But now at 6-8. Right? You got the Denver-Indianapolis game today. You got to really root for Denver. You got to have all those other, just get them out of there, right? And, man, it's going to be a tough go for Miami to get that last playoff spot. You got to pretty much probably win out by this point. But, you're 6-8. You got 3 games left. I'm trying one more time to upload these overlays for you. And, unfortunately, it really is difficult. Game in and game out, it's been brutal trying to get these uploaded for you in StreamYard, and let's see, what do we got? Is this one going to do it finally? We'll hit this before we get out of here on the last one. And remember, this is your official Miami Dolphins postcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. The only place you want to come after Dolphins games is right here on your Locked On Dolphins postcast with me, Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, G-R-I-E-S, at Jim Grease _ on social media, G-R-I-E-S. I think we're getting lucky here. We might be. All right, so the final score is there. All right, we got him. Here's the moment, the turning point of the game, and it's all on Tua today. And late in the game, he did it again. He tried to split 2 defenders, moving forward, diving forward to get a first down. Lucky he didn't get another concussion. So I don't know what this kid's doing. He can't throw deep, and they can't run the ball. And I kept saying all these last few weeks, why won't they throw deep? Why won't they throw deep? And there are your answers. If you can't throw the ball deep in a dome, you know what I mean? There's no weather, and you're just drastically underthrowing guys. It's helium balloons, and defensive backs in the NFL are feasting on that. Any other level, you can get away with it. You can't in the NFL. And we call them lollipops. They're not really. In any other level, they'd be decent and even good throws. But in the NFL, you have to put some heat on that football no matter where you're throwing it. And giving those guys that much time to react to the ball, they're not even playing safety help back in back of their corners, who are jumping the routes to get interceptions because they know even if they get beat deep, Tua can't get it there. He had the play to Tyreek against Jacksonville week 1, 80 yards, big throw. I mean, that's it. Look at him. He can't throw deep, and they can't run the ball. And when those two things happen, you're just not going to get the opportunity to win a lot of games. And I'm way over on time, mostly because I'm waiting for things to upload here. But, all right, here's the star of the game. And it really was the Dolphins defense holding Houston and doing a great job, but there were no pictures in Imagine. So we go Jonnu Smith, who had 9 catches, 48 yards, another touchdown for Jonnu. He had the game winner last week, right? And he just keeps catching touchdowns, keeps scoring. It's a great job by Jonnu Smith. His last 4 games he's been the best tight end in the NFL in 4 games. He had 5 touchdowns in 4 games. Great job by Jonnu Smith, your star of the game. But again, your final score. 9-5 for Houston, 6-8 for Miami. It just keeps getting tougher for the Dolphins. But again, there it is right there. It's all on him today. The fumble and the 3 interceptions. He'll be the first one to tell you, look, I'm not attacking Tua as a person. I'm just telling you what happened on the field. He can't throw the ball deep. He cannot throw the ball deep, and it's a big problem with all that speed and all those playmakers. And, yeah, just a tough one. And you didn't have any room for error, and there was a lot of error in that game today. They give up the fake punt. They give the short field on a day when the defense might have played their best game of the season, one of them anyway. And they've had so many unfair things heaped on them all year long, this defense, but encouragement for the way Chop played, the way the defense keeps getting better. But the offense can't run, can't throw deep, and you're not going to win in the NFL. 6-8, San Francisco next week. We'll be here right after that one. A reminder, tomorrow night, Locked On Heat postcast as the Heat play the Pistons, and they keep going and playing really good basketball lately. Thank God for them. But the football season, an abomination. Canes missed the playoffs. Dolphins likely going to miss the playoffs too. We really had thought it was going to be so much better. And it's tough to even do this tribute that I love to do right now, but that's all there is, Dolphins fans. There is no more. That's my tribute to my guy and my mentor, Jim the Mad Dog Mandich, who would be disgusted by this game today had he been there to call it for you. And you know the Mad Dog would not have been peachy keen. He would not have been riding around with his windows down other than to puke after watching Tua try to throw the ball deep today and give the ball to Houston 4 times on a day when they lose by 1 score. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Fins fans. Hope your day gets better after this. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, G-R-I-E-S, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Thank you for watching Locked On Dolphins postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.